mysterious death curse washes over the land, driven by a powerful artifact known as the Soulmonger. 4 would-be heroes have been sent to the jungles of Chult to destroy the cause of this terrible affliction. Vale, the half-elven paladin, who's just now learning of his divinely granted powers. Ubo, the total monk from a distant land, who's as quick with his wit as he is with his staff. Asimar warlock, sent on this quest by Hotel, discovering herself in this strange new land. And gunslinger Cole, tiefling artificer and archaeologist who may just dig up more than she bargained for. This motley band of adventurers must work together to brave the poisonous plants, venomous monsters, thundering dinosaurs, and rotting undead of the jungle. Join the omnipotent dungeon master Jake from Mini-Terrain Domain to see if our heroes can find the Soulmonger, uncover the deeper mysteries of Chult, and free the world from the death curse. Welcome to the jungle. Welcome to Chult of Personality.
Hey internets, it's Jake with Mini-Terrain Domain, and this is MTD&D's Chult of Personality, a Tomb of Annihilation D&D 5e weekly campaign, and I would be remiss if I didn't once again give props to the awesome Locrius for that incredible animation and music that he put together for us for this campaign. It's phenomenal. So it's been a couple weeks since we were before you, but we're here now. And we've got a slightly different look, but all the faces are the same. I am joined tonight by 4 incredible DMs and players from left to right on your screen, playing the half-elf paladin Vale Istafal. It's Mike the Piper. Playing Gunslinger Cole, the Tiefling Artificer, is Marquise. Playing Brilinia, the Asimar Warlock, it's Megan. And playing Ubo, our Giant Turtle Monk, it's Drake, the RPG Construct. Everybody's Twitter handles are down below, so be sure, if you're not already, follow them. And if you want to stay up to date on this campaign and other things happening on the Mini-Terrain Domain Twitch channel, be sure to hit the little follow heart up at the top or subscribe, and you get a cool MTD Cast little emoticon that you can use in chat. All right, so we're just going to cut right to the chase, and we're going to play some D&D. We're going to take a look at, does anybody want, for a point of inspiration, to recap Revelations and Recuperation, I believe is the title, the last episode that we played?
Dog, I'm gonna take care of this, Jake. Don't worry. I'll
Marquise is all about it. He's throw him a bone, and he's gonna take that point of inspiration.
Yeah. So let me tell you guys what happened last time. So it starts off right. Everyone's kind of sitting around inside of the Merchant Prince's like lobby area. You know, everyone's chilling and eating. Old punk-ass Sindra takes Tiefling Gunslinger Cole to the side to the Merchant Prince's own study to talk to her, literally asking her, "You need to calm the fuck down." But when she asks that, Cole then tears into her, just completely drops the mic, obliterates any reasoning coming out, forcing Sindra to pull out her trump card, which is a big revelation, hence the name of the last episode, that Cole and Brilinia are twin sisters. Cole takes this, and she doesn't want to believe it at first, but then it kind of settles in as she's shown these memories a long time ago. In fact, memories of the womb, where she hears another heartbeat right beside her. And this just blows her fucking mind. So she goes back outside, and she talks to Brilinia very briefly, suffers a complete mental breakdown, and goes running out naked into a giant-ass hurricane that is currently striking Port Nianzaro. Brilinia talks to Vale and Ubo for a moment, basically saying, "I gotta go get her." And then Ubo's like, "Nah, bro, just sort of go out there and drown in the rain or some bullshit." And Vale's like, "Nah, bro, go out there and see what Cole's doing." So bro's like, "I'm a good person, so fuck you, Ubo, I'm gonna see what Cole's doing." So she runs out into the giant ass death hurricane. Okay. As she does so, Cole basically finds the darkest place she can, which is like an alleyway in the middle of basically these flooding streets, and continues her mental breakdown, plus praying to her twin goddesses. Right? Meanwhile, back at the Merchant Prince's villa, Ubo and Vale are having a conversation where Vale takes Ubo aside and tells him, "Listen, mate, you're being fucking stupid. We're tired of you being fucking stupid. Brilliant is not some porcelain doll, so you don't gotta worry about her fucking breaking or what have you." And then Ubo slaps him and then says, "BT Dubs, you're pretty right, Vale. I've been pretty stupid lately." And Vale's like, "Yeah, yeah, 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 yeah." And then we cut back to what Brilliant's doing. Brilliant's wandered off into the docks, nearly dies because some giant ass cargo almost falls on her. And then she's still wandering about, and she gets back to the villa, and then she meets Cole at the gates of the villa, and they have a really brief, esoteric conversation where Cole doesn't tell Brilliant that they're related, and she asks Brill about her mother and therefore her own mother, right? And Brill's super confused, and Cole's crying, and everything's really weird and emotional. And then Cole fucks off into the villa to get some clothes on for the first time in like 100,000 hours, and they get dry. And now here we are for session 12, Odd Jobs. So thank you.
Fantastic, colorful recap, Marquise. Thank you for that.
I do my best, baby.
I do highly recommend that you go back and watch episode 11. I think it was one of the high points of this campaign, one of a few high points in this campaign. So, we're still in the villa, in the Merchant Prince's villa, and if you look to my right in the window, you can see a map of kind of the Merchant's Ward area of Port Nyanzaru, and the structure that's kind of a central structure to the left there is the Wakambe Otamu's Merchant Villa, and that's where you guys have been staying. It's kind of become your sort of de facto base of operations, if you will. And it is the next day. You are given information this day from, at the start of the day, from Wakange Otamu, who tells you all that Syndra Sylvain is having a bad day physically. As a reminder, Syndra, your patron, is affected by this death curse. She was once resurrected in the past, and she is slowly succumbing to the death that tried to claim her once before. And she already looked a little more sickly than when you saw her 5 days before. 6 days have now passed. She exerted herself emotionally quite a bit in her exchange with Cole, and Wakange tells you that she is not doing well. He has had her take to the sea for some fresh air on one of his pleasure barges, and she's going to be gone for a few days. It is recommended that you take advantage of this time to get to know Port Nyanzaru, go out there, see if you need to purchase any supplies, maybe do some odd jobs, visit a temple, check out the markets, whatever it is that compels you. Regarding the two companions that were with you previously, up to and including the Executioner's Run, Wakange says that tells you that Syndra's Harper contacts have confirmed that Dragonbait was kept prisoner by Queothe and was taken into the jungle for some sort of deal. He's being used for some sort of leverage, presumably in search of Artis Cimber, who you all also know as Chultmas. Regarding your guide, Salida, who was last seen because she ran through Executioner's Run with you, That was the last you saw of her. But Wakange assures you that she has every intention of returning, but this was a very trying experience for her, and she is taking a few days to spend away from you. She needs a break from you guys. And in a couple days, she will return to the villa when she's ready to resume guiding you into the jungle. So, the city of Port Nyanzaru awaits. It is currently a typical day of weather with no rain, no wind. Already into the mid-morning, it's climbing into the 90s with a high humidity. So it's pretty much your typical Port Nyanzaru day. The city is before you. What would you like to do?
Who?
Ubo, what are you going to do? Where are you going to go in the city?
Well, I think Ubo, he's... What Val said to him at the end of the last thing kind of struck a chord. And I think at first he'd be just kind of wandering, if everyone was together, probably staying with the group, but just more kind of keeping to himself, not really being sullen or anything, just being abnormally agreeable to everyone or everything that was around. Significantly more positive than he's been before. And if anyone would talk to him or question him, they would notice just an abnormally positive tone. In this particular day, if we're splitting to do our own thing, Ubo I think he would spend some time just kind of sitting down, thinking, finding maybe like a high area where he could kind of look over the jungle or, over the harbor, just to kind of take it all in, the ocean, the waves, everything that he's used to being around, just kind of analyzing and thinking back as to the journey that's brought him here so far. And you'd see him holding that staff, the one thing that he still has left from what he started with. And I think as kind of dawn breaks on this day, he would watch that sun. And as of late, it's become kind of a ritual for him to just kind of watch the sunrise over the horizon and just being filled with this kind of positive energy that he hasn't felt in a really long time, if ever. And this one, after a few days of this, I think he would just kind of stand up, look at the staff, just kind of take a deep breath, and he would snap it across his knee and just drop it on the ground and just kind of stare at it for a brief second and just nod. And he would go into the merchant area looking for some type of a weapon, blacksmith or something like that, just kind of searching for a weapon that maybe isn't about his past, but more about his future.
So I imagine that as you leave the villa, from the villa kind of sits up a little bit and you kind of have a view looking towards the jungle to the south. And the orientation of the map that you can see is actually the top is west. And so kind of to the east a bit, you can see out to the harbor ward and the warehouse district. And there's a lot of cranes down there. And you get down there in the early morning, and I imagine you would see that to get a look out at the sun rising, you could climb up on one of the cranes that's used to kind of load and unload cargo. And this is kind of where you do your, as you said, and you ultimately break your staff and drop it. And as you hear the pieces of the staff clattering to the ground, you hear, "Well, hey! What in the bloody... Who's that up there? Right. You got no business being up there. Get down here now! And you can see a very, very tan-skinned dwarf with a bleached blonde beard and long, flowing, bleached blonde hair, sun-bleached. He's wearing no shirt, no shoes, linen trousers, and he's looking up at you angrily, and you can see the halves of the staff on either side of him where you almost struck him with it.
You would see Ubo kind of have a half smirk on his face. He didn't hurt anybody, but it was one of those, oops, sorry. Knowing that he was kind of breaking the rules, he shouldn't be up there. But he would very, very quickly but carefully climb down to this man. Excuse me, to this dwarf. And I'm sure that I'm several feet taller than this guy is.
Oh, yeah, you're probably a good 3.5, 4 feet taller than him.
And I think with that, I would walk up to him and I would actually take a knee. I'm still probably taller than he is. And I would just kind of take him by the hand and say, I apologize. I didn't see you down here. Are you in charge? Are you in charge around here?
Well, there's some that would debate that, but I'm a bit of the dockmaster here. At least in this region here, I operate all the cranes, and I see over the dinos that haul the boats through the area. The name's Cress.
Cress?
And his giant dwarf hand is almost dwarfed in your giant hand.
And I would just say, the dock is quite nice, and I'm sure you seem to do a great job here. This is a bit of a thing. If you wouldn't mind each morning if I climbed one of these and just for a few moments saw the sunrise, I'm sure we could work out some type of an arrangement, perhaps.
You're a big fella, aren't you?
But these cranes look so strong, I wouldn't think they would have a problem with me.
Oh, absolutely not, and I can't help but notice you handle yourself quite well up and down that crane.
Yes, I'm not really experienced with it, but I certainly can climb.
You've got no problem with heights?
None that I'm aware of. Why?
Could you lift me up?
To where?
Can you pick me up, or can you lift up my heavy ass?
And I would literally do this and just, like, as high as I could.
He's small enough that he's like, all right. Look, if you come down here to the docks every morning at sunrise, you can climb that crane and you can watch the sun come up. But as soon as the sun comes up, you start helping me out here on the dock, watching over the dinos, and you can see already that there's somebody that is in charge of the dinosaurs, and there's about a half a dozen ankylosaurs, which, in case anybody doesn't know what an ankylosaur are, they're the thick, four-legged, relatively short. They're still considered to be huge, but they have a massive armored shell. Their head is armored, spikes all around the edge of their shell, and their tail is a massive club.
Mm-hmm.
And, these ankylosaurs are being used. They actually have thick ropes, and in some cases chains, that are kind of looped around and attached to the spikes on their shells, and they're being used to move along where you can see the canals in the harbor here in the warehouse district. The ankylosaurs are used to take a boat that goes to the mouth of the canal. They hook up a tow line, and the ankylosaurs tow it through, usually one on each side of the canal.
Okay.
And they're kind of being brought in, and he says, now, I'm not asking you to do ankylosaur work, but just kind of watch over them, help with some loading and unloading. There'll be some gold in it for you.
Doesn't look like I have much to do, at least for the next few days. For the privilege of access to this. I'm happy to assist.
Right. Well, let's see how good you do. And you can see that they're tethering up a boat right now. He goes, follow those two. They're going over to the ale warehouse over on the farthest southern point of the district. I want you to go out there and just keep an eye on them and help with the loading and unloading of the boat. See me if you have any questions. Happy to have you aboard. Again, my name is Foreman Cress.
Okay. And I would absolutely do that. But sometime in this day, either be after I help them or not, I do want to fund some type of a blacksmith or some like weaponsmith.
All right. So Ubo has a job. And while we switch over to Cole, Ubo, I would like you to make me 3 strength checks.
Okay.
And
8.
Okay.
8, 16, and 21.
And then make 2 dex checks.
4, 9.
Okay. We switch now to Gunslinger Cole. It's the next day. You've stuck around at least long enough to hear the information that Wakange has imparted to you about Salida and Dragonbait and Syndra. It seems no matter how early you get up, Wakange is already awake. Do you stick around? Do you head off somewhere? Do you talk to anybody? What do you do?
So here's what Cole has done. The first thing Cole did was she got close. She noticed that her horns had grown longer, and she's kind of like redecorated herself. So since her horns now kind of like, instead of being slight, they go all along the curve of her head, she has removed her earrings, and now both of the earrings, the black and white half hearts, hang from the front of her horns. And she wears this colorful Chultan bandana around her now bald head. She's back to wearing her old gunslinger black jacket, and everything else is as it once was. But knowing that she doesn't want to talk to Brilliant right now, because she doesn't know how to deal with that. And, Ubo's gone when she wakes up because of the sunrise, and she doesn't know what Vale is. So she goes, and she's going to talk to the merchant prince himself.
Ah, they call you the gunslinger, yes.
A few people do.
Cole, it is. I understand from my friend Salida, from my friend Syndra, that you had quite the ordeal yesterday. How are you today, my friend?
Her eyes twitch, but she puts on a mask of almost indifference, and she says, "I'm fine. Thank you for asking. I came here to talk to you about 2 things, Prince. That is the right honorific to use for you, yeah?"
It will do.
All right.
Or you
Well,
can simply call me Wakange.
Prince Wakanga, or Wakanga, yeah. You had a job for us when we left. Back then, we weren't sure if we were going to take it, but it seems we'll be heading south now instead of north. And I believe you wanted us to go south for something you were looking for, yeah?
Ah, yes. I believe I marked it on your map.
Mm-hmm.
Is there some new information you have or that you seek?
Refresh my memory on what exactly it is that we're looking for.
Well, as you will recall, I shared with you the journal, that old wizard's journal that I found that was brought to me from the jungle.
And she produces that journal from her pocket. This one, yes?
Yes. And he reminds you, basically, that the much of the journal was in cryptic symbols that seemed to only be known to the wizard that wrote them. But that he showed you on the map where he had marked it simply with the word Vorn. And
Yes.
that the journal contains a picture of a control amulet, or an amulet with no location of where it belongs, and that Vorn is believed to be a shield guardian that was a companion to this wizard, and that it can still be found possibly somewhere in the jungle.
All right. She puts away the book and she moves on the conversation, saying, "I lied. There's three things I want to mention, actually. The second is Sindra. She's getting weaker. She's rotting away, literally. So my question is, you've seen other people who suffer from this death curse, yes?
I have.
How much longer does she have?
Each person is affected differently, depending on their personal well-being, how strong they are. Sindra is very strong. She was a very powerful hero once upon a time. She has a strong heart and a strong mind. Some who are not so strong that were affected by this have already gone away. There are some that say that though their physical body passes, perhaps their soul still lingers somewhere in the ether, and that they can yet still be saved.
So what you're telling me is you have no idea how long she has left.
With each passing day, her time grows shorter. Of this, we know.
The reason I ask is because having tasted what Chult is like now, I don't know if it could be 30 days, 40 days, 60 days, 100 days before we find wherever the soulmonger is and destroy it.
Cole, I do not know exactly what it was that my friend Sindra said to you when she hired you, when she brought you to this place, to find this thing called the soulmonger. But this is what I know. My friend is dying. I have agents throughout the jungles also looking, trying to find what they can, but none have succeeded so far. I know that Sindra believes in you, and therefore I believe in you. And I know that she knows the cost and the possible consequences. Whether it takes you a 10-day or a full year, even if she goes on from this life, she will want you to continue in this quest for which she has hired you. I am not supposed to tell you this, but she has given me provision should she not last until you find the end to this nightmare, that I will take on her patronage of you.
All right, then. Then with that out the way, let me ask you, Merchant Prince, since you are a Merchant Prince, I'm fluent in both Infernal and Celestial. Is there any place I can go in this entire city to either translate documents or do any kind of research for coin? Because there's no way I can continue to pay Salida without making some kind of money in between these trips.
So you are looking to perhaps be able to do some translation work,
Yes.
to use your brain that you are skilled in.
That's all I have.
Well, most of the translation work involves ancient journals and scrolls and documents, many of which are of a arcane nature. And it just so happens I am the Merchant Prince of Magic. And he gives kind of a flourish, a little bit of a cocky flourish as he says this. So, you are looking for gold in exchange for work, yes?
I am.
Then I believe you could, as they say, work from home. If you would Like, I have many scrolls and journals that still need translation. I do not know for certain if there are documents in which there are celestial and infernal, but you are free to peruse my entire library.
She smiles when he says that even wider, and she puts the wizard's journal away back into her pocket so it fades away into the abyss. And she gives him like a half mocking, like half joking bow, as if like she's now his servant. And when she stands up, she says, "Well then, Prince, lead the way."
And he begins to lead you upstairs in the villa to his personal library. And I will have you do. I want you to give me 3. I want a total. What?
I said, slap me with it.
I thought you said 7, and I was going to say, I didn't tell you anything yet. I want 3 D20 rolls.
Do you want them now?
And those are going to be... Well, actually, I want a total of 5 rolls from you.
All right.
They're going to be 2 intelligence.
All right. Am I adding anything to the intelligence?
Just whatever your... well, you can use... I'll say use your either your investigation or history.
Perfect. All right. So 2 intelligence.
All right, give me those numbers.
That's a 24 and a 16.
All right, a insight check.
All right, that's going to be a 17.
And I want 2 arcana checks.
All right, that's going to be a 25 and a 17 again.
All right.
Dope.
And then we cut to Berlinia. What do you do in the morning?
After Belinia has woken up, said her prayers that are necessary for the morning, she would look down at herself and she sees that she is only wearing a little dress slip from the robes, and everything else was burned. So she would want to go out into the marketplace in hopes to get some more clothing that is a little more appropriate. As she kind of goes to leave, she kind of stops to think, and last night's events kind of hits her like a train, and she kind of stops and she kind of furrows her brow, just trying to think about what it could be that her family did to Cole. Because that's the only thing that she can think of, is that her family did something, maybe even her mother. But she is just not sure, and so she's kind of nervous to go out and to kind of run into Cole. I don't think she wants to do that, so she would like take a quick look out just to see if Cole was there or anywhere near there.
Roll me an insight check as you're thinking back on the events of the previous night.
It's a 16.
As you're thinking just about everything, it kind of comes as memory does in those quick flashes of images like lightning from the storm the night before, flashes of Cole standing there before you, flash of her reaching out and touching your face as she looks at you. And in that moment, it didn't happen in the moment, but it happens now in the memory. When the memory of her touching your face happens, there's another flash and you just hear, Zoop, doof, zoop, doof, zoop, doof. And that's it. And you kind of snap back too. And you give me a perception check.
10.
As you're kind of you put your hand on the door and you kind of crack it open to first peer through the crack and then kind of turn your head so that you're listening with your ear. As you turn your head to the side, you notice what you hadn't noticed when you first got up, that there are about a half a dozen linen outfits that have been placed on a wicker chair. There's a couple different things in whites. Everything's in these like pastels, whites, pinks, greens, yellow, tan. There's a couple of things that are almost like what would be like a short sleeve dress. There's like linen pants and shirts, a variety of dress depending on what you would want, along with some sandals.
So with that, she would just kind of look around and just, well, I can always ask after. And she, with kind of maybe a guilty look, she just kind of take some of the tan pants and just a looser, maybe white top.
Yeah, it's kind of like one of those. It's almost like a I don't know what the proper name is for it, but it's like a flat around the and even around the bottom. It has a collar that comes like this and then dips just a little bit. It's short sleeved, very lightweight, and very comfortable, especially in this heat. And then do you go out after you dress?
Yes, yeah, she would go out.
The moment you leave the room, as if waiting for you, one of the attendants of the house, a Chultan woman with her hair done up in a colorful head wrap, comes to you, and she kind of stops in front of you, and she gives an approving nod and just yes.
Yeah, immediately Berlinia would just say, "Oh, I'm so sorry if those were for someone else. I saw them and I."
Hush, child. Those were for you, of course. I see you chose the comfortable slacks and the plain white shirt. But here, allow me, if I may. And she makes a quick motion around your neck and over your head, and there's just simple, suddenly there's like 2 or 3 red and yellow and blue beaded necklaces, and just to give a little bit of color to what you're wearing. And then she kind of flips your hair and then straightens it down a little bit, and then she says, "There, you are ready for the day. You almost blend in."
She kind of smiles and she would like kind of start to kind of handle the necklace. I've never gotten something like this. It's beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. My daughters make them. It is our pleasure to pass them on to you. Now, would you want to do something in the house, or are you looking to go out into the city?
She would go out to the house to see, just in like the main area, just to see if anyone was there that she knew. But if not, then yeah, she would just want to go out and just kind of look around. She's never really been just leisurely walking around a town before, so she's quite excited for that.
Vale. Morning is happening around this place. You have heard from various things around the house of the activity of a house coming awake. Are you an early riser, or do you rise a little bit later?
Yeah, I would say that I probably get up with the dawn. I'd probably just like kind of like stretch and I could see, the sun beginning to lighten, basically a sky of magenta and orange flame as it just begins to rise up. And I'll kind of stretch up and kind of just like poke my eyes and just kind of rub the sleep out and stretch, maybe grab if there's like a pitcher of water beside my bed or cot. Probably pour myself some water, have a drink of that, and then just kind of breathe in deep and kind of like close my eyes and put my head down and say, right, Ubtao, ready to start the day? Maybe, I'm just going to put this one out there. If you wouldn't mind, if you can give me the ability to speak Chultan, that'd be great. I mean, I'm just saying, I'm one of your champions or representatives or something. I mean, you might want to speak the local language. I mean, just not asking for too much. Maybe a Chultan person wants to come up to me and just ask me for something. Well, if they don't speak non-Chultan, and that's going to be kind of a bit of a situation for me. So, can make with the magic. Be great. And I'm probably going to look around the room really quick. Do I see anything?
I mean, these rooms are pretty basic guest quarters. You have a comfortable bed. You have, in addition to your gear, which was brought back by the servants from Queothe's punishment. In addition to your gear, there's a variety of linen clothing, should you choose to wear something different. Nothing particularly out of the ordinary or anything like that.
All right. I think what I might do is actually might get on my armor. Just since it's light armor, it's flexible, it's relatively breathable as much as leather is. But I think underneath it, I would probably put that linen shirt, maybe to try and like act as kind of like a sweat barrier and whatnot. I think I'd just step outside, kind of like grab my rapier, my short sword, my dagger, just kind of tuck everything everywhere that I need to. And just start walking out, looking down the hallway, looking stuff.
And Berlinia, you would see, and Vale, you would see Berlinia in the common area as you make your way down to that area. Berlinia is the only one of your party that seems to still be at the house.
So I'd probably go just like walking down and see her. I would just stop for a second and Brill, morning.
Morning. I guess everyone left already.
Well, I guess they all want to make a jump start on the day. Me, I just want to eat some breakfast and I don't know, go do something. What do you want to do? You want to do something in particular?
Her face kind of lights up and she just, never been in a town like this or any town. Just to do nothing. I was thinking of taking a walk.
Yeah, let's walk. Let's do something. Let's walk and look at things. And then we can point at things. We can laugh and we can look at people and figure out what they're doing or something. That sounded really stupid. You know what? It sounds better in my head, but I bet you it's going to be great. We can call it like people watching or something, right? Yeah, let's go do that.
Great. But she kind of like looks down at her arms a bit and they're kind of exposed and you can see like the horrific scars on them. And she just says, I'll be right back. I'm going to go. I'll be right back.
I will grab your arm. Not hard, like not physically, but I'll grab your arm. I'll say, where are you going?
These might put people off.
Well, then fuck them then. Who cares? You're you. You've got to where you've been you by all sorts of things. I accept you and how you look, and besides, it doesn't matter what I think. It doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. You're pretty
Kinda
awesome the way you are.
She's kind of like frowns a little bit. Oh, okay, all right.
Good. Besides, I would hate to be the person that stares at you, because they're going to get some quite bit of a shellacking by one of our powerful, great warlocks. That's right. Yeah, I bet you've got a mean right hook. You just haven't shown anyone yet. Yeah? Kind of give her a bit of a tap on the shoulder.
She just kind of like laughs, but just like quickly, she's like, yeah, why don't we just, I wonder what's for eat around here.
Oh, now you're speaking me language. Yeah, get some nice fruits. Maybe some of those delicious yakka beetles. Huh?
And you can see her just like, her face almost turns green at that thought.
I'm only joking. I bet they have like rashers of bacon and it actually really don't really need to go any further past bacon, do I?
And I imagine by this point, you guys have kind of already headed out the door as you're talking about this. And the streets, even this early in the morning, are alive with activity. The markets nearby and further away even are setting up. People are opening up stalls, but you can smell on the air fresh baked breads. You smell sweet breads, and you can smell meats cooking. You smell, of course, the salt of the bay, the salt of the sea, but you smell cooking fish. You smell bacon for certain. You smell the usual breakfast foods, and you smell lots of roasting meats coming from all directions. It seems no matter where you go, you're going to find something good to eat. And as you begin walking through the city, the camera kind of pans away from you and shifts over, cresting the top of some buildings down along the canal, where two ankylosaurs have just brought a ship in front of a warehouse. And there stands Ubo. And the people on the ship immediately begin setting the gangplank and prepping to load and unload. And Ubo, you hear, "Grab this!" as the gangplank comes flying towards you. It's about 2 feet wide board that's quite long, and they just the crewman on the ship just kind of gives it a kick, and it comes out, and you misjudge how heavy it is as it comes out, and it catches you in the chest, knocks you just head over tail, and you kind of roll back on your shell and come to rest leaning with your shell. And it's a good thing you're a turtle, as you come leaning to rest against the side of one of these ankylosaurs that just kind of turns its head towards you as the plane kind of lands. And you can hear up on the deck the crewman going, "He may be big, but I think he's dumb." "Oi, turtle! Do you speak common?"
I would stand up and just kind of brush myself off, give the dino a pat, and again, just have this smile and be like, yes, I speak common. Perhaps a little bit more notice next time would be preferable. What do you need?
And then he says, he kind of turns his head and gives a thumb over the shoulder, and then kind of points at you, and you just catch the edge of a "get a load of this guy," and then You see him holding something, and he says, "All right, turtle. Are you ready to catch this? I'm going to throw it to you now. It's heavy. Are you ready?" And then he throws a big line of rope to you. It kind of coiled up. Big, heavy ship's rope. And you easily catch this.
Okay.
And then you set about your task. You quickly see what they're doing, that they're running up and down the gangplank. They open up the doors of the warehouse, and the crew set up a sort of bucket brigade kind of thing as they begin shifting heavy packages to and fro. And eventually the ship is unloaded, and then you have to load it again with different wares that are being exported.
Okay.
And as the ship gets loaded, and this whole process takes about an hour, they haul the gangplank back up, and they shout down to you, "All right, head them out." And he wants you to lead the Ankylosaur out so they can head back out through the canal. But the Ankylosaur is being stubborn. It's actually dropped to its belly.
I would walk over to that kind of the front of it, to its hat, to its head, and just maybe like fall to a knee, and this big head, probably several feet across, just kind of patting it and just just trying to see if there's anything that I can notice, anything, I don't know what I could possibly know about a dinosaur, but just see if I can identify anything that is wrong or going on with this thing. Just, maybe pull on, if it has like a bridle or something, try to pull on it a little bit. Or
as you are kind of doing this and patting it, you hear and you can kind of feel the ground shake as it just kind of goes ka-doo, 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 as its heavy club tail kind of wags back and forth and slams the dock. Go ahead and give me a animal handling check.
Hold on, I'm gonna pull up my thing. I don't think I'm good at that. Not that bad. It's gonna be a 16.
You just get a sense that this dino is being stubborn, like a mule, and you figure that if you just give it a tug on the guy lines that are attached to it, the tow ropes, you can probably get it back to its feet.
That's what I'll do.
And you easily, it kind of looks back at you as you kind of pull on these ropes, and you have to put some muscle into it, but it has no choice as you're pulling on the rope to rise to its feet. And it kind of looks back at you like, "Rrr." Almost like it was testing you. And then it just kind of goes, "Rrr," and goes back to work like it's supposed to.
And you'd see Ubo smiling ear to ear, and again he would just kind of go up to the front and pat its head, just like a little thank you.
And you're able to lead this ship back out to the mouth of the canal, where once it makes its way clear, they bring another ship in, and they cycle out. One of the things you've noticed in the morning here is that they cycle the dinosaurs through to different parts, to different jobs, to keep them from doing the same thing. And 2 new ankylosaurs are brought in. The ropes are attached. The one across the canal kind of gets your attention with a whistle and shows you how he takes the rope and kind of flips it around and hooks it using the spikes on the other side of its shell. There's no need for any kind of bridle. When you just do this quick harness, it's secured.
Okay.
And as you are doing this, attaching this rope, what does it look like when you get you don't see this ankylosaur's tail swing around and it hits you.
I think again he would still be very satisfied with himself that he feels like he's doing a good job, and he's playing with the rope, concentrating on the rope, and maybe trying to fling it over across the other hook, and maybe trying to tighten it, and just as he thinks he gets it just about right, he's like he'll just kind of cinch it down and go, okay, and as he stands up straight, just hits him right square in like the left shoulder, and he goes flying. I'd say 5 or 6 feet, just falls flat prone.
Yeah, and this one just kind of, as you fall, it just gives you this. It's a more aggressive ankylosaur, you can tell, and it kind of gives a challenging with its foot down on the ground. And go ahead.
No, I mean, really, Ubo would not be trying to piss these things off. He would just be trying to, focus on getting everything done. Again, the same thing, trying to stay calm. Each time something bad happens, you would see in his face that he was just getting a little bit more tense. But then after a moment, he would just take a deep breath, and the smile would, or at least the half smile would return back to his face. He's just trying to do his job.
And as you get back up and you start to lead this ankylosaur, we pan up away from the harbor, across the city, and into the upper window of the Merchant Prince Villa of Okange Otamu, where Cole is sitting at a desk, actually at a table. This room, Cole, is kind of like it's like a large version of a widow's peak or widow's walk, which is kind of like a tower on top of a house that's got windows all the way around it. And below the windows are nothing but shelves full of books and scrolls. There's a table set up that has numerous maps. A lot of them are shipping and trade routes, but there's maps of different parts of Faerun. You even see maps that have names like one of them has the name Kryn across it. Another one, something called Eberron. This map seems to have almost like the thin lines of latitude and longitude seem to almost shimmer and glow. What are you doing up here amidst Wakange's vast library? What are your thoughts and what's your approach?
Cole's ability to translate and reproduce information is borderline legendary. One of the many reasons she was accepted into magical study, because essentially she was a nobody who got a very eccentric patron behind her, was because of her raw intelligence. So I imagine the camera sees Cole sitting there. Just see these stacks of books and these open scrolls just all about her on the table. And before her is just either a book if she's working on a book, or her own empty scroll, she's working on a scroll. And what she's doing is, with both hands, and a quill in each hand, her left hand writes down everything she sees, translating it as she goes. The right hand is reproducing any images that she sees. So she's both translating at the same time and reproducing any images that she sees anew and freshly. One, so that way the translated version has all the images appropriate for it. And two, because she needs to have the translations done. So, and she would work on maps, she would work on spell tomes, she'd work on biographies, journals. Basically, she grabs things at random and she works her way through them.
Okay.
And as for what she's thinking, when Cole works, she is truly at peace. She is at zen, right? She loses herself completely. So the thoughts of Brilinia and the death curse and Ubo and all the other bullshit going around her kind of fade away, right? And all that's left is just her and the work.
Okay. So go ahead and roll me a d20.
Dope. Am I adding anything to it?
Straight d20.
Straight d20, got an 18.
Okay. As you are going through and just doing this ambidextrous method of translation and documentation. You're absorbing the information almost without realizing it. And a lot of it that you're doing seems to be mundane Chultan history, or history of regions that it's just so old that it almost seems to have no bearing on anything. You know you're doing good work because you're making historical documents readable, and that while this information is not necessarily useful to you at the moment, it's useful to someone, and possibly even useful to you at a later time. But you do find a document that you're translating that references Mesro. And seems to delve into, it's going to take a lot longer if you were to focus on this document. It's going to take a few days, but you feel that this document could be pertinent. You've already made plans to eventually work your way toward Mesro. The other thing that seems to stand out is you start to pick up in the same information that has to do with Mesro. The documenting that you're doing is almost like eyewitness accounts or personal testimonies, like diary entries almost, but where it's almost like somebody interviewed different people about the same subject. And two words stand out that you translate. The words are Yanti and Raz Nasi.
Dope. Got it. Once those two words, of course, she files away because they keep popping up so much. And once she has her hands on this Mesro document, she quite unceremoniously moves everything out of the way, puts it dead center of her, and begins focusing on that one.
All right. And that's going to take you at least 2 or 3 days of intense work to translate that document.
Dope.
Uncovering more and more lore as you do. Or at least hoping to find things that are useful to you in your journeys. You do find in the documents that you're grabbing, this is actually a packet. It's not just like a single document. It was like a satchel that had several scroll cases, some journals. So it's a whole packet of information pertaining to this. Because of a couple of the other rolls that you got, you find some spell scrolls in there.
Dope.
And I imagine that the Mesro information was so pertinent to you that you kind of are like, oh, these are spell scrolls. They're going to be useful, but I'll look at them later kind of thing. And that's my way of saying, I'll tell you what they are later.
Fantastic.
I don't have that kind of recall that I can give you.
We'll just say for now, one of them is Meteor Swarm.
I was just going to say that I can give you
matter.
Meteor Swarm. And then, so as you're suddenly, with this new fervor and intensity, begin studying these scrolls and documents, we leave the upper room of this domicile and we head down to where Berlinia and Vale have successfully found a place to eat. Would you stay and eat in and talk, or would you take your food and just kind of wander the streets and chat, looking around at things? It's not uncommon to see people walking around with like little woven baskets of leaves with various foods in them. But it's your choice. You can walk around, or you guys can stay and...
No, so you see, Brill, it's like a picnic, but we're not actually sitting outside. We're just walking and eating. It's good, though, because it just help you wake up and burn off the energy of the day. And I don't know, to be honest. I mean, getting tired of sitting.
Yeah, we were only allowed to eat in designated areas, so this is. And she kind of like, as we have our food, she's like looking at the threshold of where they got their food and the outside, and she just kind of looks and she just kind of like takes a step out with her food, and she just like looks so triumphant.
Oh, what a rebel.
I imagine it's you have this attitude like or this sensation like the kid that's been adhering to strict rules for so long that they're suddenly like there are no rules here. There's nobody to tell me I can and can't do this.
Yeah, totally. And I think that she would order, a dinner food, even though it was like breakfast, just because that's like the staple thing you do when you are on your own.
Roll me a charisma check. Call it persuasion.
That's a 15.
The person that you asked to make this food that's not a traditional breakfast food, when you ask for it, he just kind of looks at you, and then he just kind of puts his finger on the side of his nose, and he turns, and he disappears for a little bit, and he makes you a more of a dinner portion kind of dish that's a mix of almost like a fruit and vegetable salad, like I don't know what you call that, like a salad that's got fruit and nuts in it, and then there's like strips of dinosaur meat that's like perfectly charred on the outside but pink on the inside, and on the side of this like woven basket thing that he brings to you, as he brings it to you, you see that there's he grabs like a piece of bread and sticks it in there like a side, and then he just looks at you as he reaches, kind of gestures towards a platter with yucca beetles on it.
She would just like shake her head very violently and then just kind of composes herself and just, no, thank you.
And then, so he looks and he does this, like he's looking around, looking over his shoulder, and then he takes a beetle like he's going to put it on your plate, and then he just goes and slurps it down, and then gives you a wink and gives you your food.
Yeah, and she would take it and she just would just start devouring it. As they were walking, though, she would turn to Vale and just, so you don't really talk a lot about where you're from.
Well, there's not much to tell, really. I mean, I'm not really from anywhere. I mean, I've always wandered. I mean, since I left home and left me mum, just gone to do my own thing, really. At first, I didn't really know what to do with my life, right? And it was funny because my mum, who, let me tell you, the story of my parents' meeting is funny enough as it is, but she'd always say, how much I was layabout and how much I would do anything. So finally she said, that's it. You're either going to become a druid or you're going to go out in the world and actually do something, make something of yourself. So I did, right? I went to a town and I'm like, all right, I'm going to make something of myself. I'm going to be a hero or something. I'll do my mum proud. And my dad passed away, but I just figured I'd do something really good, right? But I didn't know what to do. And anyway, so I saw this old man, and he was lugging these heavy bags of coal, right? And so I said to him, I said, well, can I help you? I want to be something. I want to do something. I don't want to be like a hero or something. And he says to me, well, you can start by carrying these heavy bags of coal. That'll make you a hero in my eyes, at least. So I did. And so I started lugging these heavy bags of coal. They must have weighed about about 60, 70 pounds. And, when you're just a young lad, I was a young lad at the time. I still am a young lad, really, half elves and all. But, I just started lugging these things around and, oh my God, I thought my back was going to break. But it did. And he was so happy. He just looked at me and smiled, and he was so happy. He gave me 2 coppers and set me on my way, and I thought that was really nice of him. But those 2 coppers got me, well, a small bite to eat, and went on to help the next person and the next person. And after I was done helping people, and some folks said, well, why don't you just stay in town and do something, apprentice with me, stay with me. And I just couldn't. I don't know why. I just couldn't. I just felt like I needed to move on somewhere else. Like I wasn't meant to stay here. And then I would go on to the next town, same thing. I would help folk, and they would offer me a bite to eat, a place to sleep, sometimes even a coin or 2. And they'd want me to stay, but I couldn't lay down my head. Like I couldn't put my pack down for a moment. And so I just moved on and just kept moving, which I guess was kind of good, because I mean it moved me to this one place, and I was just outside of this town, and it was probably don't know, it'd have to be about 2 days travel from Baldur's Gate. Anyway, I was laying out, sleeping, and I just felt this need. I just felt this need to wake up. And I ran over to this place, and you could just make out like low walls. Whatever was here wasn't here for a very long time. Ruins and all. I just started digging. I don't know why. I just started digging. I just needed to dig. And suddenly I found this, and I pull out my symbol, these twigs. And at first I thought it was just some like blind, half-mad hermit that just made this and then lost it, and then it just stayed in the ground. But it was like as soon as I picked it up, I felt whole. If that makes any sense. I felt like this was for me. This has been waiting here for me. And the weird thing is, it's not like somebody buried it and just like covered it over. Like I had to dig through soil and clay and stones and rock and all sorts of things. I did find a copper, but it had been so badly degraded I had to throw it out. It's really too bad. Thought I'd been finders keepers, but I couldn't. Anyway, after I found this thing, I just felt like my look started to change. Like I started to feel like I had some kind of a purpose, some kind of a thing that I needed to do. And so I went around with this thing, and it led me to this cave. There was nothing in the cave, but the more I started exploring, then I found this rapier. And I found this short sword and dagger. And this armor, well, not this armor, I mean the armor that I traded away, but found armor, and suddenly I had purpose. I had to go do something. The weird thing is I was told to go to Baldur's Gate. And it was there that I ran into somebody who called me by name. I thought I owed him money. Thankfully, I didn't. I didn't really have much of a copper to spend. And they told me to go, and I ran into you and Ubo and Cole with that damnable horse of hers. And it's funny. I don't have a lot of like coin or whatnot, right? I'm not rich or nothing, but I feel richer. I feel richer for not only moving with my life and just never stopping, just always finding something new, but I also feel richer for knowing you, knowing all of you. And I feel pretty happy about that.
She would kind of nod, and she would be looking at the when you took it out, the little pendant, and without taking her eyes off of it, really, she would just say, but didn't you get lonely not having anyone to really fall back on. You kept switching your life all the time. You must been so alone.
Not really, because I always knew around the next bend I was going to meet somebody new, and then they were going to be friends. And I have friends in small villages and hamlets all over the north. Spoke to folk and helped them out, and just being a good person. And, in the end, that could be my own measure of wealth. It's not sacks and sacks of coin or gems, jewels, and magic weapons, or large castles, or great steeds. If one day that I ever pass on from this world and on to the next, I can say with the amount of people I've made happy, the amount of folk that I've met, I can say that I'm quite wealthy. I can say that I passed on a rich person.
You're very different. And she just kind of laughs a little bit.
Oh, you think that's funny? Let me tell you the story about how me, Mom, and Da met. I'm not sure, Jake, if you want to do that into a segue.
I need you both to make a dexterity saving throw as you suddenly hear, "Look out! Look out!" and somebody's pointing up.
Got a 7.
Ooh. I got a 19.
That's my sister.
But I ask you this. If the 19 is on, can I use that 19 to push Brill out of the way? And I'll take the hit.
I will allow that. As you hear, "Look out," and somebody's yelling, "Look out," and pointing up, you hear the sound of splintering wood. And Vale, you turn in time to see that from an upper deck of the second floor of one of the buildings,
it's a piano, isn't it?
There's a barrel that has just broke loose from another stack of barrels and crashes through the wooden railing and is heading right for Berlinia when you shove her out of the way. So what does it look like when you take action and then this barrel comes crashing down on your shoulders?
I probably don't even take a moment to think about it. As soon as they say "look out," I just immediately look up, and then I just kind of roll my shoulder forward and just shove her out of the way, just long enough to count the individual grains of the slat of wood that's about to meet me very intimately.
This barrel is full of water.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, that's all right. Better than being filled with, like, I don't know, manure.
This was a waste barrel.
Nails.
I didn't say what kind of water.
Oh, that's fine.
No,
Again,
the barrel's filled with water,
nails.
so it's heavy. And as it crashes on your shoulders, you take 18 points of bludgeoning damage.
And
you're
I'm dead.
knocked flat. Berlinia. Actually, both of you can do this because you turned and looked. I need a perception check from both of you.
Would mine be with disadvantage because I got smucked?
No, because it's actually part of you turning and looking and seeing this.
There. Oh, shit.
12.
Nat 20.
Berlinia, you don't have any clue what's really happening. You hear somebody shouting and you're kind of looking at them. And next thing you know, you're kind of shoulder checked out of the way and sent sprawling by Vale. Vale, as you turn and see this barrel break loose and come crashing, you, just before it hits you, you catch sight of a woman who, she's not Chultan. She has dark hair. She is wearing kind of this almost like emerald green. It's not this pastel linen, but she's wearing kind of an emerald green dress. And she's wearing some of the decorative armbands and stuff that others wear. But it's as if for a split second, this moment is frozen in time as you see that her eyes are emerald to match her dress. That her features are somewhat... She has what could be called a severe beauty, as she has this kind of sharp features, and her eyes seem just... Something seems off about her eyes, and her mouth seems almost too wide. It's almost like she has too many teeth. And just as the barrel catches you, the last thing you notice is her shoulders don't look right. They look almost scaly. And then the barrel hits you, and you're slammed to the ground with 18 points. Are you still conscious?
Yes, I am. Yeah, I was just being
okay. Berlinia, what's your reaction to this as you're knocked prone, kind of on your stomach, and then you hear this tremendous crash behind you. You turn and see that Vale has just had a barrel smuck him.
Yeah, she would immediately just fall down and just look around wildly, and like seeing Vale being hit, she would just yell out his name and just kind of scrabble to get herself upright and kind of run over to him, crouch beside him, and without even another thought, just like start kind of hovering over him with her hands. Like her hands are turning this bright white, and the scars along her arm are kind of, they almost look like they're moving and dancing with the different light. And just, she's just going to cover him in like this sheen of light that's emanating from her hands. And I'm going to do healing light for 9 points of healing.
Awesome. And as you do this, we cut quickly over to the docks where Ubo is well into his workday. You're getting to know these different Ankylosaur pretty well. And it just happens that it's cycled around that the stubborn one is on duty now, pulling a boat. And you get the harness on this thing. Go ahead and give me an animal handling check.
Okay. That is 14.
You get the harness on this thing. You start doing it just like you've been doing it. It's now becoming... It's a pretty easy knot and thing, and you're just like... And just as you go to cinch it, one of the spikes that it's attached to on its shell breaks. And as it breaks, the harness kind of comes undone from that side. But the sound that this thing makes when it breaks, the spike, while thick and made of this dense bony material, has kind of like a hollow core to it. And it's it sounds like a gunshot when it snaps. And you know what a gunshot sounds like from your friend Gunslinger Cole. And there's just this sound. There's a slam of the Ankylosaur's tail against the deck. And it bolts. I need you to make a dexterity saving throw to avoid getting hit by it. Did you fail it?
Yep. You
get sent spinning to the deck. You actually, it hits you hard enough, catches you off, that when you hit your back, you land on your back on your shell, and you kind of, for a moment, it's almost like you're breakdancing. You just kind of, but you can immediately hear crashes. You hear screams, and somebody from your vantage point as you stop spinning up on the deck yells, "You need to get it!"
Okay. Then Ubo would just, as quickly as he could, get to his feet and just dash, do whatever he needed to do to get to that creature as quickly as possible.
All right, what's your speed right now? Because I know you're a monk, you get bonuses to speed.
Not just yet. It's just 30 because I'm a turtle.
Okay, so you're gonna move 60 feet.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go ahead and do a athletics check.
Okay. I'm good at those. It's a 19.
So you're able to, when you hear "get it," you get up and get to your feet quick and take off after this thing. It's easy to know where it's going because there are broken barrels and crates. There's actually a couple of broken bodies already, dock workers that have been struck as this thing's, I mean, this thing's huge as it's barreling through. It's like a bulldozer, basically, in terms of size, just doosh, 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 heading around. And if we look over on the map, looking back at this area, you're kind of starting over on that upper right side of the canal where it loops around and going around the outside, just chasing this thing. So you're able to catch up to it. How do you want to try to grab hold of it? Are you going to try to leap onto it? Are you going to try to grab it by the tail? What do you want to do?
Can I get ahead of it? Like just ahead of it, like a foot ahead of it.
With that athletics check, I'll say yes.
Oh, okay. What I want to do is I want to just get ahead of it so that its head's coming at me, right? And I literally want to let its head go over my shoulder, wrap one arm as much as I can around its neck, put my feet back so I'm in like a 45-degree angle and this thing's pushing me. And I'm pushing my feet down, trying to slow this thing down, just slamming my feet, whether it's wood, the wood's breaking, the ground's breaking, whatever it is, but I'm just kind of just sturdying myself. I don't know how to say it.
This is going to be a strength contest.
I'm gonna with the dinosaur. Are you shitting me? Can I do athletics instead?
That's a strength-based skill, so I will allow it.
Okay.
Everyone's having these fantastic dinosaur adventures, and Cole is just translating books the entire time. I love it.
All right.
Cole's translating a book ironically, about somebody's encounter with a dinosaur.
Okay, so it's a 21 with the mod.
All right. I'm going to roll. I don't have my dice camera set up. Oh my gosh. I can't believe that. I critically failed. So what does this look like? How do you do this? What does it look like? For your narration, it is a heavy wooden dock.
Okay. And so I think you would see this huge turtle just running faster than he should be able to, kind of leaping in front of this thing, turning its head on its shoulder. You see him kind of extending his legs out and then locking his legs. And for a few feet, you just hear as the wood behind him, under his feet is just breaking, and he's being pushed through it like it's in a cartoon. And then eventually, probably 20 or 30 feet later, that wood is no longer there. It's like more of like a metal piece or something like that, something that's been reinforced. And with that, you hit that, and you see the front part of this dinosaur actually lean up as he's coming in. Ubo with all of his might just stirs up straight, and you hear like a and dinosaur actually kind of like stops short and gets pushed up. And as he does, and this dinosaur just down, Ubo falls to his knees and just.
So you stop it. You're gripping it. Its head is next to you. You can hear the snapping of its jaw, beaked jaw, next to your head. You hear and more splintering wood as its tail thrashes back and forth. It's going to try to break free of you. It's trying to push. Now, besides the dock, you basically have, as you're now facing this ankylosaur, You are on the southern edge of the warehouse district. To your left is warehouses. To your right is the canal. Strength contest.
Fuck. Okay, I'm using athletics again. That's going to be a 20 after modify. I rolled a 15.
Interesting. I rolled a 16 with a +4. It's a 20. What does this standoff look like as this dinosaur is pushing with all its might?
Well, as I like fell to my knee and I was like, and I can hear him. You can kind of feel his muscles tighten as if he's gonna push again, and feel like kind of sensing this. Ubo stands up again and he holds onto his head again. And as he pushes, Ubo again he kind of like squats. He just pushes up, and as they go again, this dinosaur's pushing and Ubo's pushing, and they just go up. They just go up. There's no movement at all. They just go up.
Roll off again.
This is a good die. Come on. Give me a nat 20. And that's going to be an 8.
It beats my 7. What are you going to do to this dinosaur now?
How far is the canal?
It's literally to your right. You were pulling boats along.
I want to literally take this thing, and if I can, use the left arm and just try to get him off balance just a little bit, just so he can, because he's kind of up, just so he can kind of roll into the canal. I want to try to push him into the canal.
Well, you beat the roll, so
yeah.
What does this look like?
It just, again, he's up, and as that kind of stalemate happens, Ubo comes down again, and as he does, he allows the Ankylosaurus to come a little bit forward, and as he does, he uses all of his might and just over, and just his head twists, but it gets him enough off balance that I imagine like his little spikes on his side kind of gets caught, and just one side back as he slowly rolls faster and faster into the canal. I don't know how far down it is.
Well, it's literally, the spikes would actually dig into the wood. You would hear splintering, and one more, I mean, as you roll over, that's how close you are. It's not going to have to roll repeatedly.
Then I would literally, I think with that, I would just try to get him to the thing then. He wouldn't be rolling, but he would somehow, I would get him into the canal.
No, that's exactly, yeah, they dig in, wood splinters, and as you just, you and the Ankylosaur go tumbling into the canal. The Ankylosaur is not an amphibious dinosaur. As I said, it is very much like a bulldozer. So with you still wrapped around it, it's starting to sink into the canal, upside down.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Before this continues, can I nominate Ubo for a point of inspiration for literally 1v1 wrestling a dinosaur to death?
Granted.
I think he deserves it. Thank you. There you go,
Granted.
Turtle Monk.
The strength-based Turtle Monk. Go ahead, Jake.
All right, so are you going to let this thing sink? Are you going to see what it does?
I can hold my breath for an hour as a turtle.
Oh, yeah, you're a turtle. You're amphibious. It is not.
I'm going to do the best I can to kind of, in the water, I should be able to kind of maneuver him around to get him straight up, and just, if I can, just kind of push him towards the edge to see if he can, climb out like a little bit, just get his head above water. I'm going to do the best I can to get him out, because I can be underwater, no problem.
I want you to make a strength check at disadvantage.
Fuck you. All right, hold on.
I have inspiration now, Ubo.
I have 3 points of inspiration now. I haven't used it yet. Okay, so that's 19, and that's going to be a 12. 12.
It beats my 6 because it also had disadvantage. So you're kind of maneuver. I mean, it's thrashing.
How deep is the canal, Jake?
You're in the water. You can see it because ships go through here. The canal's been dug out. It's probably a good 20 feet down.
And what I want to imagine as he's doing this, Ubo would like swim down, and you see his little legs going, and he would go up under this thing, and just as he's thrashing and everything, do his best to kind of right side him up, and just kind of like the Superman, pushing up a rock or the house or whatever, and he'll just push him up as he's just kind of kicking, swimming, just getting him up and towards the side.
All right, it's a struggle. It's thrashing all over the place. And you can get it to where it's upright and its head is above water, but the dock is a good probably 6-8 feet up above.
Mm-hmm.
And this thing's thrashing all over the place. It's banging against the side of the dock. Your options really at this point are to try to swim it along the canal to get it somewhere that it can be, somewhere else that it can get up. See if you can flag somebody that can help to lift it with a crane maybe, or possibly just let it go.
Okay. This is what I want to do, Jake. Pushing. I see it got up, but he really can't get out. I'm gonna try to swim to the front of this thing, and I'm gonna hold this thing's face and go nose to nose with this beak thing, because the turtle's got a little beak thing too.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm just gonna look at like square in the eyes and try to see like through like an insight check or something. Can I calm it down? I want to in this moment. Is the fear in his eyes too much? Is it possible?
Give me an insight. Go ahead and give me an insight.
It's an 8. Never mind. Yeah.
I mean, I'll tell you this much. You can see that its eyes are wide.
Okay.
I mean, the only thing I can think to describe it as is if you've ever seen, either in real life, being a Texan, this is pretty probable, or
Not a Texan
in
bitch.
movies, or being in Texas, when a horse is panicking and its eyes are just super wide. That's what this thing looks like.
Okay,
and
this
it's
is
thrashing, it's bashing its tail every which way.
okay. I am going to do this. I am going to try to push it in the water so it is pointing in the right direction. Its face is pointing like where it needs to go to get out, right? Towards that direction. And I'm going to get behind it, and you may need me to make a dexterity roll or something like that. I am going to cast that kind of radiant light bolt from my hand square in the ass and see if I can kind of and get it moving in that direction.
All right. So as you're able to turn it in the water fairly easy.
Right.
I'm going to roll at disadvantage. It's going to try to attack you with its tail.
AC 18.
Let's see. With disadvantage, I rolled a 10. It gets a +7 to hit. So it just misses you.
So it's like just
Yeah, you see this tail as you kind of like swim away from it. And you're going to try to radiant blast it in the ass.
I'm gonna, but it's gonna be like I'm right there. So it's literally just gonna be my hand just kind of glowing with that kind of golden light, like from the sun soul, and it's literally just gonna be a smack in the water, but just kind of to crop it to force it in that direction.
What kind of damage does that attack normally do?
It's just 1d4 plus my strength mod.
All right, go ahead and roll the damage because you are going to damage it.
It's gonna be 6.
Okay. And yeah, you spur it on and it starts moving. And let's see, it's got
Best I got, man.
It's moving towards, like, following along the water, but it's thrashing a lot. And you see it dip under the water.
I'm going to do everything I can to get it to a place where it can get out, if it's possible. I've been in here that long. I'm not going to let it die.
This is what I'm going to have you do.
Okay.
It's going to take, because of the distance you have to go, I want you to make 3 strength checks.
Okay.
To cover moving this thing. They're all going to be at disadvantage because you're in the water.
Okay, hold on. All right. That's going to be a 19 for the first one.
It got a 22 for the first one. So
Okay.
the first one is a fail.
I got a 23 for the second one. I rolled two 18s.
That one's a
And
pass.
that one, I got an 8.
And it got a, let's see, it's +4. It got a 6.
Okay.
You are able to get this thing out of the main canal area towards where the ships are first brought in. And at this point, the dock crew is starting to figure out what's going on and follow along and get everything ready. And some ropes are thrown in for you to loop around this thing. And they use one of the cranes and start raising it up out of the water. And it's a strain. You can hear the crane. They're used to lifting heavy cargo, but this one, you can hear just kind of as it rises up. And as you get out of the water, the foreman Cress comes over to you. And he just looks at you. He looks up at you and he looks at the ankylosaur and he goes, I ain't never seen a turtle run that fast, nor have I ever seen anyone wrestle an ankylosaur. I don't know who you are, but I'm glad you work for us. And he says, come here. I got something I want to show you.
With this, Ubo would be exhausted. He would just kind of be like, okay, yeah, okay.
It's in the shade. You'll appreciate that.
And you would see him, he would be just taking very slow steps. Like he would be happy, he would be smiling, but he would be physically exhausted from head to toe, mentally, emotionally, physically. So you would kind of see him kind of hunched over, just walking. But he would follow for sure.
And he leads you into the one of the little dock house structures where there's like nets are thrown and there's some of those the name is completely escaping me.
Gas.
Lifesaver, life ring.
Yeah, life preserver.
Life preserver. Good Lord. The round thing that usually says like RMS Titanic or whatever.
Yeah.
And he says, look, I know you've got some kind of skill. You're just killing time here on the docks making money. But you got a look of one of them adventurers. So you probably have more use for this stuff than anybody else. Hell, I don't think anybody around here could even use this stuff at all. Lift it, let alone use it. But here, you take this to Dietrich in the merchant ward. He's one of the armorers. And I think he could do something with it. And what he shows you is what is kind of like I'm trying to think of how long this would be. Probably about 3 feet long. The dried, desiccated remnant of an ankylosaur tail with the massive knot of bone at the end of it that is its club, and about a half a dozen of the shell spikes.
Nice.
And he says, you take this to Dietrich and give it to him today, and I think in a few days he could work something up for you.
I would happily hold it and just be like, thank you.
No, thank you.
Perhaps the rest of the day I can take off. I'll see you in the morning.
Thank you for it. You've earned it.
Absolutely.
And so basically he's giving you some stuff that you can take to an armorer to have fashion. It's going to take most of the week, but to fashion into what we talked about.
Okay, cool.
Marquis said, okay, you saw my note. I'm trusting you with this. I'm giving you the keys to a couple of spells.
You fucking fool. Do you know what you have done?
Well, I know that Meteor Swarm is not a 5th level spell, so
Well, shit, you're right. But yeah, do you want me to pick them now? Because I'm looking through spells at the moment.
well, you don't have to pick them. I mean, you can pick them behind the scene.
Alright.
I mean, basically, it's weird if you only knew that as you were translating these notes, that there's a weird, almost cosmic connection to the stories you're reading and translating, to the events that are happening to your companions. They're eerily similar.
I imagine that this is like a filler episode of like an actual TV show. Like it'd begin with Cole translating things, and then like the camera zooms into the book, and it's like Ubo wrestling a dinosaur. So,
Yeah, exactly.
That's what we got right now.
So then we're going to cut back over to Vale and Berlinia as we're in the aftermath of Vale's injury, and you've healed him. What are you guys doing? We'll say that, maybe 5 or 10 minutes has passed.
Are you sure you're okay?
I mean, I've just had a 500-pound barrel of water fall on me from a great height. But yeah, no, I'm good. I'm good. Thank you, by the way. And I'll like just kind of like without really looking, because I'm just kind of like, I don't know why I'm just clutching my head, even though it fell on my shoulders, but even just the size of the barrel kind of hurt as well. I just reach out and I just grab her hand and just hold her hand for a moment. Thank you. And I'll slowly get up because I think it'll take me a little bit to stand up after what would kill any normal human being. I just kind of get up, and at first I would kind of like start moving to the left a bit and then start moving to the right a bit.
Just take a moment. Just take a moment. And she'd like put her hands on your shoulder and just to kind of steady you, while looking around to see like, if anyone is reacting, kind of what happened, because she didn't really see it.
There's a lot of people standing around, just kind of like you would expect when an accident happens. People are looking around. People are pointing at you guys because, one, they just saw a half-elf get hit with a barrel full of water from a second story and then stand up. And two, they have just seen you perform magical healing when you helped him up. Now, magic is not unheard of, but it's enough of a thing that to do it out in the open like this, people are amazed. It's not something they see every day. And as people are just you're kind of looking around, I imagine it's almost like that, where the Steadicam's panning around you as you turn in a circle, just looking. Go ahead and give me a perception check.
That's an 11.
You don't see this. In fact, none of you see this. This is a third-person thing, but it's Vale. You know what she looks like because you saw her right before you got struck. From a couple rooftops away, this mysterious woman in the emerald green dress just watches over the scene, and she hisses, and a forked tongue flicks out from between her teeth, and she turns and disappears into the shadows.
I'll probably start walking in her, like take a few steps in her direction.
Well, you don't see this. This is like a third person thing. It's the woman that you had seen before. So,
I'll probably get up and look around, and just look at Brill and say, Brill, sometimes I think that walking is overrated. I think that's why you see so many adventurers sitting in taverns. Because, they can't possibly get hurt in a tavern. Like ever.
You hear bells.
Oh, I thought that
In the
was like
distance.
the. I thought that was like the meta alarm. It's like Mike, you're leaning on that fourth
This
wall.
This is the new mic alarm. I wish this had more beef to it, but you hear in the distance a bell. It sounds like an alarm bell. It's coming not too far from where Berlinia and Vale are, to the south of you. Actually, because you guys are more in this district here, and it's coming off from the south here, to the south, which is to the left. Cole, faintly from the villa, you hear the distant ringing of an alarm bell. Ubo, as you're heading into the district, the merchant ward, and would have already dropped off your... I imagine you're at this stall. You found this D-tree and have dropped off this stuff.
Yeah, I do have some stuff to chat to him about. We can do that later.
Well, you want to talk to D-tree?
Yeah.
All right, we'll flip back to that.
Okay.
You're handing off this stuff, and then you hear this alarm coming from not very far away to the west.
Okay.
Or to the south. What do you guys do? Ubo.
After everything is kind of finished with me and Dietrich, because it was so loud and kind of had a real good day so far, I would probably start heading that way. Probably just a brisk walk. I wouldn't be running per se, but just a brisk walk, trying to figure out what it is and see if I could help something else.
Give me a perception.
19.
As you begin walking that way, you hear people muttering, and you hear, "Oh, Malar's throat. That's the temple bells. Oh, I bet the zombies and the jungle's undead are coming into Malar's throat again." You're picking up just snippets of this along the way. Cole, in the house, what do you do?
She stops what she's doing, saves her place, and she goes to find the merchant prince to see what's going on.
You don't find Wakange. He appears to be gone on business, but there's several servants in the house that will quickly tell you that is the alarm bell when undead are attacking a part of the city. And she kind of listens, and she says, "That sounds like at the Temple of Timora, probably in Malar's throat from the echo."
She leaves before she finishes talking to basically go find and quickly don her scale armor, and then she heads out heading towards where these bells are sounding.
Vale and Berlinia, you don't need a perception check because a crowd is surrounding you. And as soon as the alarm sounds, they turn their attention. A few people immediately take off running in the opposite direction. And you hear people saying, "It's the undead. They're coming into the throat. Let's hope the guards can keep them out of the city." And somebody else says something about the temple. "That's the bell at the Temple of Timora."
Where is it? The temple?
They point off to the south, and you can actually see this archway. It's this thing that's got some like trees on it, and you can see Malar's throat here. Yeah. And they just kind of point you that way. It's actually not that far. I mean, you guys are literally hundreds of yards away from the entrance, the two of you.
Brill, maybe see if you can go get Cole. I'll make my way down there right now.
And she would just say, "No, you're hurt. Let's just..."
No, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. Besides, if I get hurt again, it'd be a lovely excuse for you to, heal me up again.
Okay. And she would just give you one last look and then just take off towards actually I don't know if she knows where Cole went.
Yeah, you actually wouldn't have any knowledge of where
No.
Cole went, so
She would ask Vale, well, do you know where she is?
I don't know. Ask back at the manor. Maybe they know somewhere there or something. But we need to get the rest of them together.
What about Ubo?
Damn. Right. Yeah. No.
This sounds serious. We should just go and they'll probably show up.
there's a few people now that are running screaming through the archway. And you can actually, from where you guys are at, you can see that only about a half a dozen people make it out of the archway before portcullis-like gates are closed and guards are standing on this side of it, and they're not letting anybody else out of Malar's throat into the city.
There's no time. There's people out there. We have to go help them. And she would just take off running towards.
And I'll be taking off right at the same pace, keeping up.
So here's what we're going to do. We're going to have you guys roll initiative. And the first round is going to be Vale and Berlinia. Ubo will show up in the second round, and Cole will show up in the third round because of where you are and your proximities. So everybody go ahead and roll initiative.
I got a 3, big man. Jesus.
3. Uh, 23 for Berlinia. 18 for Vale. And a big old 8 from Ubo. Let's see. Those guys. Ooh, that is a 1. So that is... that is... Ooh, okay. So, we'll call that a... That's 2. That is a... And one last one. Another 1. You guys might get lucky if I keep using this dice for the undead. So that is a -2 for initiative. All right, so the order is going to be Berlinia, Vale, followed by a thing, followed by Ubo, then Cole, then this thing, and this other thing that you don't know what they are yet. So, Vale and Berlinia, you guys go charging towards Malar's throat, and the first thing you are met with is 2 of the city guards with spears and a couple of these curved blades at their belts standing in front of the closed gates that people are screaming and trying to get out. What do you do? Whoops.
Elena would just go running up and just... Please, let us through. We can help. These things are on the other side. But she'd look to Vale just...
Yeah, I'd probably go running. I'd run up beside and go, look, you're not going to leave your own people on the other side of this gate. Let us at least try and help some of them. Don't just stand there and do nothing.
Look, this is not the first time the undead attack through Malar's throat. We are doing our job. We closed the gate so they cannot get in. But if you want to go in there and fight them, that is on you.
Fine. Then I'll go in. We'll go in. And we're going to save a bunch of people. And you're going to feel like a right asshole.
We'll see. Either that, or you become one of the undead yourself, perhaps.
Well,
Then we'll see who is the asshole.
Well, if that's the case, and the first person I'm going to chow down on is you. If you don't mind, I'm trying a new diet, so maybe just a little bit of salt, a little bit of butter. Huh? Good man. Now open this gate. Let us through.
The other one uses his spear, the butt end of his spear, to push people away from the gate. And they open it. And as you're squeezing in, 3 people manage to take advantage of the gap and make their way through the open gate.
Wait, they make their way into or out of Malar's throat?
The people make their way out of Malar's throat.
Gotcha.
They're normal people. So you push through and you find yourself in the slums of Malar's throat. The streets have that look of everything seems to kind of slope down and southward towards the jungle. There are close buildings and shacks. There's catwalks that run along across the top, crossing the alleyways, connecting a couple of the buildings. The streets have that look almost like a dried riverbed. It looks like when it rains, the water pours down from the city and that hits the streets and just flows down into the jungle. Not very far in, you can see that there is a temple to Timora. All the people are running away from this temple. You can see through some of the windows that people are trapped in the temple. There are several skeletons, zombies, battering their way against the sides of the temple, trying to break their way in. So you have your choice of, you can see 5 zombies, 4 skeletons, and a ghoul.
I'm not going to lie. I picked a really bad time to roll really crappy spells.
In Berlinia, it's actually, you have the first go.
Would she be able to get to within 60 feet of these things?
Yes.
She would do so, and she would, as she was running, she would kind of have her hands like circling this little ball of light, and this ball just slowly gets larger and larger, and as it gets larger, you can actually see like small flames begin to like jump out of this ball and kind of curl around, almost looking like a small sun. And it's just getting larger and larger, and she kind of immediately extends her hands out, and this ball just goes colliding towards these things, and it's about 5 feet in diameter, and she wants to catch as many of them as she can in that sphere.
So what is it exactly?
It's a flaming sphere, dexterity saving throw.
All right, so are you which are the ones are you aiming at? Just the mob in general?
Yeah.
They're kind of spread out. All right, we'll see what you can get. So, what's the DC?
13.
All right, roll me roll me a d4.
Okay. That is I rolled a 4.
All right. So what does Flaming Sphere do?
So if they pass, they take, or if they fail, they take 10 fire damage. If they pass, they take half that.
All right. So,
I mean, I don't want to be rude and correct you, but I'm pretty sure it's 15 D100 damage. I think that was.
I'm pretty sure that's not right.
Okay.
Yeah, and then if they end their turn within 5 feet of the spear, then they also. No. I'm not sure if it's just after. Any creature that ends its turn within 5 feet of the sphere must make a dex save.
What's the spell?
Flaming Sphere.
Okay, 1 second. Thank God for D&D Beyond. Am I right?
I know I have like 3 windows open tracking the monsters.
Here we go. Flaming Sphere. 5 foot, blah, 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 blah. Bonus action, you can move the sphere up to 30 feet, and if you end your turn in the sphere, you're still on fire.
Yeah, so I ram a sphere into a creature. Yeah, okay. Yep.
And then you can move it on your next turn.
Yeah.
You see that you hit kind of in the midst of this group, and it looks like it kind of gets caught up in some of the skeletons and zombies, and you see some starting to burn. Vale. Well, actually, is there anything else you want to do before I take your turn away from you? Berlinia.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
Vale, you're up.
All right. All right, so I will. I'm gonna I pull up my rapier, and I just run like 2 fingers along the edge of the blade. But as I run it through, it just begins to like gleam. It just begins to get like just seeming more shiny, more just like glimmering. And I'm casting divine favor on my weapon. I'm going to go to the nearest little gaffer. Let's go with. Is the ghoul nearby?
You could get to it.
But I couldn't attack it.
No, you could get to it and attack it.
All right. Well, then I will get to it, and I'm gonna stab it in its ghouly face. Stupid ghoul. Anyway, yeah, I know that's pretty much all I had.
All right.
All right, Sue. That is a 21 to hit.
That is a hit.
Wunderbar. And with divine favor, I get an extra 1d4 radiant. But of course, knowing me, I leave my pyramids in my dice bag. As you do. So while Mike tries to get his pyramid out.
Wait, that was the worst joke I've heard all night, Mike. Can you take it back, please?
Take what back?
The pyramid. That was no. I can't stand it.
What? It's a pyramid.
Oh God.
Hey, don't make me bring the.
Exactly.
Don't make me bring the hag coven back.
Yeah.
If we start seeing puns and jokes, Cole's just gonna shoot herself on sight.
All right, so
she is known as Punslinger Cole.
Oh my no.
So God, that was bad. So for piercing damage, it's 12 piercing, and it's 3 radiant. So for a total of 15 points of damage. And I just like run up to this ghoul and kind of almost like I just pull a feint maneuver and I just kind of curl my sword around and just stab the thing in the side of the head, perhaps like right through its eye, one of its eyes or something.
Yeah, and as you pull your rapier back, one of its eyes comes with it. This thing is in, just from the single attack, this ghoul is in sad shape. And it's the ghoul's turn. It is going to, as you pull your rapier out, it's going to lunge at you with its claws, attempting to rake at you. I'm going to not use that die. I'm going to use my Chult die. That is going to be 17 to hit.
That just hits. My AC is now 1 higher.
All right. So that's going to be 6 slashing damage as it just rakes its claws across the front of you, catching your vulnerable bits.
Whoa.
Well, not those bits.
I was going to say, easy. And I believe, now memory serves me correctly, not to metagame, but isn't the thing with ghouls I got to roll a con save or bad poopy stuff starts to happen?
Yep, I was just getting to that.
Nailed
because you are not a full elf.
Tis true.
You do need to make a con save.
All right, Will. That is 16. Thank you, 14.
You feel this kind of numbness where it rakes its claws across you. That then begins to burn with a searing pain. Other than that, no additional effects. You made the save. But there are several skeletons and zombies around you, and you are going to get attacked by a few of them. Well, one of those. You're going to get attacked by 1 skeleton and 2 zombies. Because you just marched right up to the fray. So the 2 skeletons are going to come at you with swords swinging. And that is a crit and a 19. So a crit and a hit from the skeletons. And just as a reminder, I do crits max damage plus roll the die 1 more time. So you are taking 8 plus, so that's 12 from the crit of piercing damage. And then 3 additional piercing as they come at you. These skeletons come at you with these just rusty, nasty looking short swords. And then 1 zombie comes at you. I think that's the reverse of what I said, but whatever. 1 zombie comes at you. And he just kind of does this lunging thing. And he lurches towards you. Ooh, that's a 25 to hit.
Oh, no, that totally doesn't hit.
You're going to take 3 points of bludgeoning damage as it slams into you.
Okay.
The rest of them are kind of clamoring against one another. And now that you're up close on them, the skeletons all appear to be roughly humanoid. Most of the zombies, there's 5 total zombies. There's like 3 of them seem to be humanoid, but 2 of them they look like the BADASSERY goblins that you fought in the jungle, but their skin is that dead blue, rotting flesh. They're BADASSERY zombie goblins. And that ends their turn. That takes us through the first round. So, in this next round, you'll fall in the order, Ubo. We're back to the top with Berlinia.
Just a quick thing. If they end their turn within 5 feet of the sphere, they must make a dex saving throw.
Good reminder. So let's see the zombies.
That's any creature. So does that include Vale?
I don't believe it does, but
I would like to think that Vale was smart enough not to run into the flaming sphere when he attacked the ghoul, who was not affected by the flaming sphere.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, it was in the midst of the zombies and the skeletons.
this is
Okay.
Vale, not Ubo, so I think it's safe to say he is not suicidal.
So, 2 zombies are going to take additional damage. But the skeletons are going to succeed. So
they take. Do you round up or round down for half?
down for damage.
Okay. So on a success they take a 3, and on a failed they take a 7.
One of the skeletons bursts into bright flame that quickly turns to ash as it collapses. There are now only 3 skeletons left. Now it's your turn.
She is going to reach out her hand and cast an Eldritch Blast at one that is attacking Vale.
The ghoul or one of the...
Yeah, the ghoul.
Okay.
So that's an 8.
That does not hit.
Okay. So yeah. And I think she'll keep the sphere there.
Yeah, the blast could just kind of this ghoul is lurching unpredictably, and it just kind of lurches, and you miss it. Your Eldritch Blast slamming into the side, sending clapboard and brick splintering away. Vale, you're up. You're engaged with the ghoul, and you've got a couple zombies and skeletons trying to get at you too.
all right. Wheel. I'm going to attack that ghoul. Or should I? No, you know what? I'm actually... Well, what do I do here? All right. For a moment, I almost like slumped to the ground as I'm like just beleaguered with like hits and pain, and I'm completely rethinking my style of rushing into the fray. But I just grab my hand and I just slam it to my holy symbol, and then I'm just gonna press it tight against me. I'm gonna cast lay on hands on myself.
Okay.
And I'm gonna give myself all my stuffs, all the HP that I can possibly give myself, and that would be 20, and that'll be that'll be my turn. But
all right. I knew you were probably hurting pretty bad.
oh my goodness, like you wouldn't believe.
So the ghoul is going to attack you again.
Bring it.
This time it is going to attempt to bite you.
That's probably a bad thing.
That is going to be a 6. As it leans in towards you, one of the skeletons that's trying to hit you kind of blocks it, and you just hear its teeth clattering together as it attempts to bite you. Skeleton takes a swing. That is going to be a 17, which I think just hits you.
That does just hit me.
And you take 3 points of piercing damage from its short sword. one of the skeletons moves away from the fire, moves out into the street, draws a bow, and is going to take a shot at Berlinia. That is not the dice you roll for an attack. I must roll a d6 for an attack. The arrow goes flying wide. That is a 7 as it tries to hit you. And then one zombie is able to move towards you, Vale. That is a 16. That
is exactly my armor class, and ergo it hits.
I thought 17 was your armor class.
No, 16 is my armor class. Because I wear studded leather plus my dexterity modifier.
All right. You're going to take 6 points of bludgeoning damage as this thing slams into you.
Ow.
Ubo runs onto the scene. You see a fireball at the door of the temple. You see people screaming. You see 3 skeletons, 5 zombies, a nasty-looking ghoul, some of them on fire, some of them in the street with bows, Berlinia standing about 60 feet away, and Vale, of course, right up in the fray, getting hammered by zombies, ghouls, and skeletons. Muted.
How far away is Vale from me?
You're able to run if you wish. You're close enough. You can, on this round, you could get right up on them.
Okay, that's what I want to do. Just kind of, if I got to jump in or whatever, just as quickly as I can get there. And whatever fleshy thing is closest to Vale, I want to do my best to destroy.
That's going to be the ghoul.
Okay, I'm gonna roll 4 times, Jake. Because I'm going to do my basic attack. I'm going to do my bonus action. Then I'm going to use one key point to do flurry of blows and do 2 more. Okay?
Wait. Your flurry of blows is your bonus action.
So I can't do flurry of blows after that one?
No, the way it works for a monk is you do an attack, then as a bonus action.
Well, then I read it wrong. That's fine.
You spend a key point, so you can do 3 attacks.
I'll do 3 then. The first one is a 17. Second one is a 21. Third one is a 13.
All right, so here's the deal.
Yeah.
You go ahead and roll your damages.
Okay.
I'm almost 100% positive that your first attack, I am 100% positive, that your first attack is going to kill the ghoul.
Okay.
So you can then tell me what your damage is for, we'll say, because you're just attacking whatever's closest, and that would be a skeleton and a zombie.
Yeah, I would be focusing on the fleshy bits. I wouldn't think the zombies would be.
So the zombies are fleshy bits.
So it was 6 and 5. So that's going to be for the second 2. So that's going to be 11 points of damage.
So 6 and 5. All right, let me just check their. Let me just check this real quick. He doesn't have that. These zombies, I'm going to see if you actually take them down. So it was a 6 and a 5.
Mm-hmm.
So DC is 5 plus is 11. So he makes that one, and that one is a 3. So okay, here's what happens.
Okay.
You kill the ghoul.
Okay.
You kill one zombie.
Okay.
And then you strike a third one that you think you kill. So go ahead and tell us what this looks like.
And he would jump in, and seeing this one really close to Vale, he doesn't have any weapons right now. He just have those big claws. That's just your turtle claws. And the first one he does, he just basically rips this thing's throat out with its claws. Just one quick swipe. He sees this thing fall. He looks over to his right, sees this zombie, and all he does, he just goes directly across his chest, like left to right, and he just rips a hunk of flesh, and this thing's heart, which has stopped beating, just falls to the ground. And with this kind of half smile, Ubo Ubo looks over to the next one as this one drops, and he takes his claws in this other one and he punches directly through, or he's trying to punch through the thing's chest, and his claws get stuck in this thing as he's hoping that he kills it, but you're telling me he didn't. But he just pulls it out with just a chunk of flesh.
You pull out this chunk of flesh, and you even pull out like a couple ribs. Looks like a vertebrae is attached to it. And there's that moment where you're expecting, like the others, for the zombie to just drop. And it kind of sags its head down, almost like it's looking at the gaping hole in its chest. And then it just goes... and stays standing, staring at you.
Okay.
Gotta love that undead fortitude. So that is going to take us to... the third round, in which Cole will show up on the scene in her turn in initiative order. Berlinia.
Did the zombies in the sphere, are there any left?
Yes, actually there are. So that is a dex save, you said?
Yes.
So that's a 12, an 8, or a 4, and an 8. So they all fail. Well, actually, what's your DC?
13.
Yeah, they all fail.
So they take 8 fire damage.
Okay, so let's see. That's 8 plus 5 is 13. That is a fail. All right, what does this look like as you kill 2 of the 4 remaining zombies?
I can just imagine, like, I would think that most of their attention would be on Vale and Ubo, but there's just this searing heat that is behind them. And I could imagine that 2 of them kind of are starting to walk like towards Vale and Ubo, like lifting their weapons up. And then all of a sudden, kind of from back to front, they just ignite in this white, hot flame. And they're just reduced to ash as like their weapons just like clatter on the ground. She is going to let out another Eldritch Blast at the ghoul, who's still alive, right?
The ghoul's dead.
Oh, the ghoul's
All that's
dead.
actually left are 2 zombies, and 3 skeletons.
Okay. Oh, she's gonna aim for the one that Ubo is attached to that isn't quite dead yet.
Okay.
And that's a 12 to hit.
FYI, my hand is still stuck in this thing, so...
No, you said you pulled your hand out. Remember, you pulled ribs and vertebrae. And...
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay, good.
Yeah.
Better.
I was more concerned that she doesn't roll a 1. What'd you roll?
12?
That's a hit.
Fantastic. That does 15 force damage.
So 15 plus 5 is a DC 20. And it got a 19. That's con save. So what does this look like as you destroy this zombie?
I can just imagine that like Ubo just brought his hand out and then all of a sudden this thing just explodes and like all this rotting flesh just comes raining down. I can imagine some of it even gets on Ubo.
That's awesome.
And as her bonus action, is there any way that she can get her sphere to affect more beings, but without triggering it for Vale or Ubo?
I believe as a bonus action, you can move it.
Yeah. Yeah, she wants to move it so that it's not within the 5 feet of Ubo and Vale.
There's still 1 zombie remaining. The skeletons are kind of spread a bit.
Okay.
There's 1 that's pretty close to Vale, so you'd have to go for that. Pretty much it's that 1 zombie or the 1 skeleton that's out in the road that was taking shots at you.
Yeah, she's going to move it over there. To the one taking shots.
All right. Vale.
I'll cough just a goblet of blood and spit on the ground. And I'll look up at, I think it's the skeleton that's near to me.
Yep. There's one right up on you.
All right. I'm going right at him. Gonna mess him up.
Gonna mess him up bad.
I will gonna mess him up bad. Kick his ass. Actually, that's not terrible. Does 14 hit?
A 14 does hit.
Oh, awesome. All right. And then, so that's going to be with the radiant damage. Actually, you know what? I'm going to make this a divine smite too. Let's go all out.
Why not?
Yeah, I'm having none of this guy anymore.
Lay on hands him as well, dog, while you're at it.
That's actually not a bad idea.
Yeah. Hey, I'm the ideas guy. I'm an artificer. It's what I do.
You know what? There's so much goddamn damage here. It's just not even funny. What do we got? 18 and 6 is 24. And then 3 radiant, 27 damage.
What does it look like when you completely obliterate this skeleton?
I just see this skeleton looking down at me and grinning, and I'm just angry. I'm so angry, and I'm also hurt, like really, really hurt. And I just, as I come straight up, it's like you almost see for a moment the whole greenery of the jungle just seems to dim, like someone puts the contrast up, like in a weird way, and everything, the green just seems to fade and like just, it doesn't look as lush as it was for just a moment. And suddenly I just come straight up in a rapier uppercut, and you just see this huge amount of energy. And for just a moment, you see like this black outline of the skeleton wreathed in this huge ball of light, until then it just, not only does the skeleton begin to like crack and break and pieces of it float up, but then it just gone. No ash, no bone, no pieces, nothing. It is just erased from history.
Wicked. That's badass. Ubo, right up on the zombies. One of the zombies is going to, in fact, the only zombie remaining. Megan, is it at the start or end of its turn that it takes fire damage?
It's at the end.
Okay. This zombie is going to hurl itself at Ubo, who I believe has an 18 AC. That is... This zombie, like, lunges at you, and it just goes, poof, and just kind of... as it has literally no effect on you. The skeleton with the bow is going to take a shot at Belinia again. And whatever this skeleton was in its former life, it was not an archer. It actually does that thing where it pulls back and then it lets loose wrong, and the arrow just kind of goes ploop, and doesn't even fly very far. And then there's one skeleton that is still close enough to Vale to take a shot. Come on, that's a critical hit.
On me?
Yes.
Nice.
That's a second crit on you, man.
Bring it.
Let's
because
see.
I'm pretty sure I'm going down
So
after this. Let's give her.
That's 7 plus 3. That's 10 points of piercing.
Oh, wow.
Wait. Sorry. Looking at the wrong dude.
Did I say 7? I meant 109.
Actually, that's...
Plus the square root of the hypotenuse.
That's actually 11 piercing. I was off by 1.
11
My
piercing?
fucking God. The damage increase.
That's the one. That's the 1 point.
9,000.
Yeah, you take 11 points of piercing damage as the skeleton lunges at you.
Oh, gosh. What do I have left? That's awesome.
You have 1 hit point left, don't you?
Nope.
Oh.
Nope. More than that.
Oh.
More than that.
1.5.
Ubo.
Yes, 1.5. Half a hit point.
Ubo, what's your go? A zombie just
Just
bounced off of you.
just going to just use the standard 2 attacks.
All right.
Just again, same thing, claws. Just trying to. The first one, I'm going to try to rip off a limb, just kind of with my claws, just rip the off.
All right.
And the other one, I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm gonna do, first one is a 16 to hit. Second one is an 8.
They both hit.
Oh, well, shit. Okay. Oh, shit. Okay. So that is going to be a total of 12 damage.
All right. So what does it look like as you rip this thing's arms off
Do I kill it?
and kill it?
The first one, the first one, I just with my right hand just slash down right at the shoulder, and there's really not much there, just a little bit of muscle and sinew and bone. It just kind of, flips off, and then the other one actually starts up at his throat, and along with this giant hole that is left in his throat and his windpipe missing in my claw, it goes all the way down to his other arm as well. As that arm falls off, the other arm falls off, and you hear him just kind of and just fall straight back and fall prone.
And just because for the cinematics of it, there's still 2 skeletons left. The one that's just pierced Vale, but the one with the bow that's in the street sees a new target coming into the street.
I was going to say, is it me?
This target is just entering the street from the gateway. Her jacket blowing in the breeze as she raises her cannon. And this skeleton drops its bow and charges Cole. And Cole, go ahead with what you pre-rolled and describe what it looks like. What happens to this skeleton that's charging you?
I imagine no one really noticed it, right? Brill's been kind of like dueling with the skeleton, kind of, because it's the last remaining one. But she sees it drop down and begins charging. So imagine the camera's turning with her. And as she fully turns around, what you see, Brillinia, is it's a shockwave, right? You see a flash of blue light, black smoke exploding from where the skeleton was standing, and then you see the shockwave echo outwards. You see windows break. The shockwave rushes over you, and you can feel the ground shaking. You see particles of sand rising from the air, and they form this big dust cloud. And as that dust cloud slowly settles, right, you see Cole striding through it, the thunder cannon held in her hands. She lifts it, blows the smoke from the top of the barrel, smiles, and drops another bullet and takes aim at the last skeleton, which is fighting Vale. And that ends my time.
That's so awesome. I can totally picture that slow-mo with the gunslinger duster and Vale, or Vale's, the other skeleton's like in slow-mo pulling its sword out of Vale. Ubo's just finished ripping the arms off of a skeleton, ripping throats out, and zombies dropping around him. There's a fireball moving in slow motion. As Berlinia, we come back to you at the top of the order, and one skeleton remains that's attacking Vale.
She's going to hold both of her arms out. One hand facing Vale, the other hand facing the skeleton. And she's going to, there's this light that kind of emanates from one hand and this crackling ball of white energy from the other. And with the one, it kind of almost floats over to Vale and heals him 8 points of healing with her healing light. But then the other one, it almost has like a recoil in her arm as she like casts Eldritch Blast as her action at the last remaining thing. That's a 21 to hit.
Yeah.
Doing 13 force damage.
So, how do you end this fight? How does it... as your healing energy washes over Vale, how does this zombie drop?
I can just imagine that at first this kind of energy comes out of her hand and it hits the side of this skeleton's hand or head, and at first it doesn't look like anything happened, but you see the smoke, you see just you see the smoke just coming out of the side of his head, and the skeleton just collapses with this huge just black hole just still like burning at the side of its head.
That's awesome. In the aftermath, as the last of the undead drop, it's almost astonishing how quickly people begin to move towards normal. Several people run up with carts and begin picking up the pieces of the zombies and moving out of Malar's throat to dispose of them. Once the zombies and the skeletons and the ghoul remains are dealt with, cleared from in front of the door, and it only takes moments, dozens of people are assisting. The front door of the temple, you hear the heavy bracing boards being removed, and the temple is opened, and several men and women, mostly Chultans, begin just surrounding you and ushering you inside the temple. All four of you. Anybody that's hurt, they're already addressing your wounds. They bring you in and begin giving you cool water. They begin shoving baskets of fruit and treats at you, feeding you. Eventually, somebody comes in and begins seriously tending to Vale's wounds in particular. And the priest of the temple thanks the four of you for helping them. They bring you 5 jugs, a gallon each, of Tej. And they bring you a leather satchel. And the priest, as he brings this satchel, he's looking at all of you, and he goes to you, Berlinia, and he just says, "You have the look of a healer. I see you are touched by the gods. Like him, like all of you. But it shines ever so brightly upon you. Take this, Timora's blessing." And he hands you the leather satchel. Would you look in it now?
No, she wouldn't. She would take it and just with this almost slight bow of acceptance, and she would say, "Yes, thank you. Ilmater shines brightly upon me, and I am more than happy to help anyone who is in need, but thank you for this."
You may rest here for the afternoon until you feel you are ready to continue on. And that is where we are going to end tonight. Berlinia, Megan, because I don't want you to forget this, because I know eventually you will look in the satchel anyway. What you have been given is essentially a healer's kit, but inside are 2 healing potions. And
Just give him the veil. Just give him the veil.
Just
Or
give
give them the Ubo. Both of y'all tend to be dead. So
So
To be dead.
when we pick up next session, it will be the end of the week. You guys will have. We're going to assume that the rest of the week passes by relatively uneventfully. Cole, you will have your 2 magic scrolls. Ubo, we are going to, just to think about this, we're going to start with you next week.
Okay.
As you go to pick up your weapons that you ordered. And we'll get you guys, I'll get you guys settled up offline with some money that you've earned this week and any other additional things. And we'll pick up pretty much ready to gather your party together and head down into the jungle proper next week. So, thank you, of course, to Mike, Marquise, Megan, and Drake for, as always, fantastic roleplay and wonderful adventure. Thank you to everybody that has joined us in the chat tonight, watching along with us as we had some fun playing Tomb of Annihilation D&D. This is Chult of Personality. This was episode 12, Odd Jobs, on Mini Terrain Domain on Twitch. Be sure to tune in on Tuesdays and Thursdays for Guild Artisan live crafting. Tune in early on Wednesdays for right here for, if I'm feeling like it, a short video game stream. And for the next few weeks on Sunday nights at 8 p.m., our own Marquise here is GMing Cryfoth the last 7 days, where Megan is one of the creators and one of the players of this system that they're playtesting in. And of course, tune in on Mondays for this show, Chult of Personality. Be sure to follow Mini Terrain Domain on Twitch, and if you're feeling like it, subscribe as well. Thank you for watching. I've been Jake, Mini Terrain Domain, and I'm going to get this right this time. Mitade and